the Axios reports. And the Axios reported that the US circulated a sensitive but unclassified draft authorizing an enforcement force to govern Gaza through to 2027. From an international law perspective, what legal basis would a UN Security Council resolution need to give an external force broad governing powers over Gaza?
If the UN Security Council decides to give this power, then it will be a decision valid and under international law. Then the decision must be specified and determined in a very specific way. And they must specify the powers to be exercised, the authority that they will deploy, and the mandate must be detailed in a very specific way. This is a condition to implement any decision from the UN Security Council.
Right. The draft calls the force as an enforcement force, not a peacekeeping force, empowered to use all necessary measures. Now, what is the difference between enforcement force and peacekeeping forces, and what does this type of force entail?
A peacekeeping force is a force which is in charge of setting between two belligerents, between two parties fighting each other, and to prevent any casualties from both sides, to be impartial, and to not allow any party to attack the other party, and so to keep the peace, as it is mentioned. While this stabilization force or
enforcement
is to enforce the agreement. It means to execute the agreement. It means to materialize the agreement on the ground. It means that under these conditions, this force will be entitled to bring the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement in practical terms to be materialized on the ground. It means that they must, in this particular case, they must protect the civilians from any attack from the Israeli army, to obtain that the Israeli army will withdraw, first of all, in the first stage on this yellow line, or on this line of Gaza, and then to be on the border, to get out completely from the borders of Gaza, of the Palestinian border, including the maritime border, and also to obtain the demilitarization of Hamas. And then this enforcement force will continue, because it will enforce all the articles of this agreement. It will go into the reconstruction of Gaza, and to create the condition to administer all the tasks of the reconstruction of Gaza.
Right. The draft envisions a board of peace to supervise a technocratic Palestinian committee for a day-to-day governance. What safeguards are necessary to ensure that a transitional board does not become a substitute for the Palestinian political rights or authority here?
First of all, this techno structure, this technocratic governance must, first of all, respect the rights of the Palestinian people. The first right, the rescue right, is to obtain the protection of the Palestinians on the ground, to not allow any aggression against the Palestinians on the ground, to obtain the free delivery of food, of water, of medicines, and to obtain all the facilities. All the utilities must be reestablished, to put the housing, at least provisional housing. So it will be technical. and they must be not allowed to interfere in the political life in Gaza and the Palestinian state in general. It means that they will not be allowed to exclude party, to give favor to a party, to associate a party in the government of Gaza, and to be impartial between the different political parties or factions in Gaza. So they have an obligation of neutrality and of impartiality.
But they are to take all measures necessary to apply what they came for. And at the same time, we're speaking here about a transitional board that is not limited by time, and it's not really very much clear what exactly is its mandate here. There is no limitation to its authority, no time frame for its existence, except that it tells that it will go for 2027. But who will then be able to make sure that a Palestinian Authority would take office instead? What do you think of that?
Well, this mandate is very vague, and the mandate and the international law must be specific and must be determined in a very precise ways. So it will give the target, the object, the framework, the time, and the end of the mandate, and the achievement, and who is the body who will supervise this mandate. Of course, it looks like for the time being, if there is no authorities, a supervisory authority on this authority, it will be the Security Council who has to do this supervision work. But the Security Council must determine, to avoid the veto, must determine how this will work. It means who will be the members, for what mandate they are. They cannot exceed the 2 years. In case there is vacation between the members, how to replace them. In case the work is not finished, how to postpone it, or how to give more time, and to which extent, and how to prepare the succession of this body, because this body will not be forever. If it's for 2 years, it must be clearly mentioned, and how this body itself will work to create the conditions to obtain a new authority made and designated by the Palestinians.
Right.
And in this case, we have the conditions of the agreement that Hamas will not be part of it, and the Palestinian Authority must be reformed completely to avoid all these matters of inefficacy and corruption and all these matters. So, and to make rise a new leadership based on the respect of the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement.
Another very important point here, Dr. Boudin, is that according, of course, to Axios reports, the International Security Force would secure Gaza's borders and partner with a new Palestinian police. Now, how should the mandate define limits and oversight for border control? Because this is very important.
Well, here we have to be precise on the definition of the borders. What are the borders? Are they the borders between the Palestinian state of Gaza and the Israeli territory, or will the Israeli keep making the siege of Gaza and suffocate? And so the second point, the gates between Israel and the Palestinian territory of Gaza, the gate between the Palestinian territory of Gaza and Egypt, Israel must not interfere in this border, which is a bilateral border between Egypt and the state of Palestine, and also the maritime borders. They must be under the control of this authority, and Israel must not have a veto or a supervision on this international institution.
That's another point you spoke about. You're spoken here about the external borders, and that is a very important point also to be included. But also, we're speaking about the internal borders. Are we speaking here about the Gaza borders with Israel? Are we speaking about the West Bank and Gaza borders? Are we speaking about a Palestinian state? What are we speaking here? Because it does not show any kind of illustration on it is just Gaza or the West Bank, Gaza or the Palestinian state. What do you think of that?
Oh, this is a very crucial issue and a very important point to be clarified, because in the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement, the word was broad, so there is no specification. You remember that in the resolution 242 of the United Nations at that time, they have mentioned there is a difference between the French version and the English version. Mm-hmm. And in the French version, it's written les territoires palestiniens. It means the Palestinian territories, with the Palestinian territories. In the English version, it was made withdraw from Palestinian territories. The article the THE was missed out, was erased, was taken out. And then it has a very important political and legal implications. It means that the territories are not defined, and Israel can argue about the definition. Mm-hmm. And here, when we speak about Gaza, we will have to make it clear that Gaza is part of the Palestinian state, and it has to have the continuity of the territory with the Palestinian state. And the new, if it's established, this committee, this authority must think about how to link the Palestinian territory between its several parts. We have the question between the West Bank and Eastern Jerusalem. Now, the extremists in the government of Netanyahu are trying to create colonies to prevent
the establishment of a Palestinian independent state.
And it should be the same between Gaza and the West Bank by creating a tunnel or bridges or other means with an international treaty between the Israel and the Palestinian state. Right. And here we come into the recognition of the Palestinian state, which must be made by every country in the world, including the US.
Another important point, and I need a brief answer, please, because we're running out of time for this segment, aid distribution. And aid distribution will be linked to organizations approved by this board. Now, could that system politicize humanitarian aid or weaponize the humanitarian aid and exclude independent relief groups? What do you think?
Well, the permanent aid must be, or the aid now, the rescue aid, because the situation is unacceptable now, and the world has declared that it's not acceptable. Israel must not be able to block the borders, particularly of Rafah. It must be a question between Egypt and the Palestinian Authority, and this authority, if it's established, this committee, and Israel must not have a veto or must not interfere. And this authority will secure both the security of Israel, but also, and in the first place, the security of the Palestinian civilians.